Hello everybody, Megazord X here, back at it again to give y'all another very exciting video. And yes, we're right off the heels of that latest Pokemon Presents presentation that always happens on February the 27th, dubbed as Pokemon Day though. And usually we'll get some kind of presentation on this day. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's mediocre and stuff like that. And I was very skeptical going up into this presentation. Like I literally wasn't expecting that much at all. But by the time we got to the end of this thing, I'm like, oh, shoot, man, I was there for it at the very end, though. But, let's go ahead and talk about everything we managed to get in this presentation. So, kick things right off the bat, you had the dude come up there, talk about the origins of Pokemon Presents, yada, 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 though. We went through all the traditional spin-offs. We had our Pokemon Go. We had our Pokemon Sleep update. We turned around and had a Pokemon Cafe mix, had Masters EX, and then along with Pokemon Unite being the last mobile update game, which, Pokemon Unite, you're able to play that on Switch, and then you're also able to play that on mobile, though. So, yeah, so that was basically all of our mobile updates, something that you can always predict what every single Pokemon presents. Like, it never fails to have those mobile games update in some shape or form or, in some kind of capacity in these Pokemon Presents presentations, though. So I was always expecting that. It's always what comes after that is the most interesting part, though. And with this one, they actually managed to give us a new mobile game. And you know what? This one actually seems a little bit more promising. It's actually one based upon the Pokemon TCG. You're actually able to play the TCG on your mobile phone on the go. No, we're not talking about the traditional TCG online that you actually are able to play on computers right now. I think there used to be an app in the past where you're able to do that on mobile. No, not exactly like that. You're actually able to open up like 2 card packs a day completely for free. It doesn't cost when you do that. And you're actually able to just go through and collect cards. You're able to, with the technology to be able to do this digitally, you can actually able to zoom in on the card, be able to see all the details up in there, actually go into the world of the card and stuff, which I think is actually really cool and really nice. But I think the one part where it's going to really shine the most is literally you're able to actually have quick battles and you're actually able to trade with people who I guess you just happen to somehow pass by. So think about it as like a Pokemon Go version for the TCG. And with it being like quick in and out, so you're able to get these free packs right here and there, though. I think that has a lot of promise up on there. Where I actually will probably actually check this out. They did say it's going to come out sometime in the year of 2024, so we don't have an actual, calendar release. Like we don't know what month and day this thing is going to drop on it, though. But I still think what was actually showed off here in this short little thing, that was actually pretty promising, though. So I'll tip my hat off where it's due. It looks kind of cool. And lastly, the major thing that anybody and their mamas will actually care about is that one more thing they managed to show tail end of this Pokemon Presents thing. And it was weird because they were teasing it with unknown, like how they started the presents as well as how they ended it. And I was thinking, I was like, well, it's like, is this Johto related? That's what I was thinking about at first. And then they opened it up, the cinematic thing, and we saw like an old design, like, how someone would just kind of draw in the sketchbook stuff. And I was like, you know what? I've seen that old timey thing before, but it cannot be that. And then they started showcasing off all this futuristic stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, this looks like we're in a city. It doesn't look like something, like an old timey thing that we've gotten within like a past Legends game or nothing like that. It didn't look old. It looked like super new and futuristic. And I was like, huh. And then I started looking at the Pokemon they started to showcase off. They showcase off Pyroar at one moment. They showed off Aegislash in another moment. Then they turned around and showed off Sylveon. I'm like, hold on here. That's a lot of Kalos Pokemon. But I was like, so what in the world are they gonna do with Kalos? I'm like, oh, this game is, came and went. And I was like, it doesn't make sense for it to be like an actual remake of the game because next in the lineup would have been Gen 5. So I was like, what are we doing here? And then they said Lumino City and stuff that had this cryptic graph and stuff. And I was like, okay. And then the logo popped up Pokemon Legends ZA. And I was like, heck freaking yes. I sure enough wasn't going to this presentation thinking we're going to pull away a Legends game. I thought we're going to get like a Let's Go Johto or something like that, or some other random spin-off like a Pokemon Conquest or something. Or man, I'm still crossing my fingers. Maybe we would have gotten the Pokemon Ranger game in the future somehow, though. But the fact we got a Legends game, heck yes. So I guess this firmly submits that now, because with one Pokemon game showing up, there ain't a trend. But when we get two of them showing up, yes, that fully means that it is being a trend. So now we got Legends submitted as a official spin-off game, but it's much more an important spin-off game than, like a Conquest or a Ranger or something like that, or even Mystery Dungeon, because of the fact that new Pokemon can be showed off in this game, like Legends Arceus, that actually will have, those new Pokemon rolling over into the new generation though. So, with this Legends game, with it being in the world of Kalos, we can actually kind of dive into the world of, stuff that they managed to showcase off within Pokemon X and Y that we never got elaborated on. Like literally, we always thought a Pokemon Z was going to be revealed and we are going to play through it, kind of similar to how like you had Black 2, White 2, or Pokemon Platinum or Emerald. Like we thought we were gonna get that with X and Y, with Z, and we never got that. They tried to, make up for it in Sun and Moon with you being able to get the new Zygarde forms and stuff we saw in the anime. But I mean, outside of that, wasn't much for this thing though. And you know what? When you look at the Z A on the logo, what does that say in reverse? AZ. We know how important and the lore for that dude was in terms of that, doomsday weapon he managed to create and stuff. The interaction between him and that legendary Floette right there. So, this dude was like over 3,000 years old. So will we actually see that story play out with that character in this Legends game? I think it might be set in the past, kind of like how Legends Arceus was, but at the same point, it seems super futuristic and stuff. So maybe there's some future elements. I don't know. I mean, with that teaser trailer we got, it's very little something. I don't know which direction they'll take it in. But regardless, to be able to see all the lore and stuff explained within, Lumino City, I think there's a lot of stuff that you can basically do. And the way how they kind of showcase it off, maybe you're actually trying to go and build up the city, maybe from scratch or something like that. Who's to say right there, though? I think that's one of the cool things I like within the Legends series right now is the fact that you're able to do all these different side quests that can actually help expand your little home base area, which I guess for this game, it definitely would be Lumino City, though. But there's a lot of different ways you can kind of go about this though. But in terms of the actual release date, it is confirmed it's going to be coming out some point in 2025. Now, if we look back in the series past, literally with Legends Arceus, that was announced within the Pokemon Presents in February and it released the next following year in January. So I'm fully expecting it could be January at the earliest and maybe at the latest June or something like that. Because technically next year we're supposed to have our Generation 10 game. So this might look very similar to the year when Scarlet and Violet came out. Maybe we'll get the Legends game earlier in the year and the next generation game later in the second half of the year, though. I hope they give enough time for both these games. And it was kind of interesting the fact that we didn't manage to see any actual gameplay footage from this. Because if you remember and think back with Legends Arceus, the gameplay footage for that was rough. At the FPS up in that, man, that was going at like frames per second at some point. So it got better, but that first look was like a really raw look. Like you can tell that game was in active development. So nice that we did manage to get any gameplay. It seems like they're going to be working on this game quite a bit though. And that kind of brings into question, well, what, all the future games that we could possibly expect within the Nintendo Switch, given the fact that a Nintendo Switch 2 could likely come out within the next year or so. And, with the Pokemon Company, they typically are the ones that ain't gonna really care about releasing their next new game and timing it just right with the next new system. If you think back in the days of the DS era, like they literally were, or the 3DS era, they were literally dropping. No, actually, they did this on two different occurrences. In the DS era, remember when they were dropping like the Black and White games and the Black 2, White 2 games? They were dropping that even when the 3DS was out. And then you fast forward a little bit, they were dropping that, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon the same year, almost about 6 months later after the launch of the Nintendo Switch, though. So this is definitely going to be probably one of the last mainline games or close to a mainline game that they'll probably drop on the Switch. And if it's back compat, I think that's what they're really shooting for. So this might be a telltale sign on that. And then I fully expect maybe their Generation 10 will be fully made for what will be Nintendo's next generation console, though. So there's a lot of things you can kind of pull from this presentation. And this is probably the next big major AAA game outside of Endless Ocean, which I don't think is going to splash any waves or anything like that, that we can fully expect going into 2025 right here, though. But yeah, that's a pretty good, awesome Pokemon Presents presentation right there. But you gotta let me know down in the comment section down below. do you think about this overall Pokemon presentation right here? Are you hyped to the moon that it's a Legends game? And the fact that we're getting a new game within that series, though, what new Pokemon could we get? Could we get a new Eevee form or something like that? Though the fact that Mega Evolution is gonna be back, the mascot's gonna be back in the game. Yes, man, I love myself some Mega Evolution and all this stuff. And I'm like, please, 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 oh please, let's get some new Mega Evolutions up in here because now's the time to do it. And oh shoot, I don't know if you're gonna get another chance like this though, because I really love my. That's the one thing in these Pokemon games I thought that really didn't feel like a gimmick with those evolutions beyond what we would normally get in the final forms. That's just some really sick stuff right there, though. So let me know what you think about all of this and your predictions, whether it be Mega Evolutions, new Pokemon in general and stuff. Your overall thoughts on the presents down in the comment section down below. Did you like the new TCG stuff they managed to do? Did you like some of the spin-off updates they managed to do? And most importantly, the Legends reveal right there. What all did you think about that? But that's gonna basically do it in terms of today's video though. So if you really like this, make sure you're gonna hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. So remember y'all, till whatever video I make next, see y'all.